also known as Memers on Ravelry, and Memers66 on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for joining me. I am podcasting in Croton, New York, Croton on Hudson, New York. You can see a little bit of the Hudson River behind me. I kind of sat away from the water because there was a lot of people down there, and I didn't want the noises interfering with the podcast, or to bother anybody else for that matter. There's a lot of people down here despite the very hot weather, enjoying the beautiful summer day. It's about 90 degrees, but not so bad in the shade. I'm not complaining. So this is episode 69, folks. It is July 24th. It's my sister's birthday today. Happy birthday, sissy. And I am recording this episode the second time. I did a recording this past Monday, I think it was the 18th, and I never had the chance to upload it and get it out to you. And I think I will include snippets from that, but I decided to re-record because I'd gotten a lot more done. Train's coming, hold on. Sorry. I live near the Hudson line. Well, it's the Hudson line here. Okay, I think that's good. So, I also have to apologize because I forgot my notebook with my show notes in it, but I think I'll be able to remember everything that I wanted to remember. I wanted to start this off. It's been a while since I mentioned some of my year-long knit-alongs that I have going on in my Ravelry group. The first one, which this will be the third year I've done the senior love-along, for which there are lots of really fantastic prizes, and kid you not, I'm not exaggerating. I get a lot of awesome donations for prizes for the senior love-along. And what I do every year is collect, usually in the past it's been just washcloths, cotton washcloths, which are still fine and eligible for prizes, but I'm opening it up a little wider this year, so it doesn't have to be knit or crochet, it could be any craft. And what I am asking for are small, thoughtful gifts for a senior. For instance, I have a couple of kits from Laura Nelkin to knit some snowflakes and some adornments from the Christmas tree. I have the mini mochi book, for which are like little mini snowmen and Christmas trees. So use your imagination. Any craft is fine. If you want to use clay, if you want to weave, if you want to knit or crochet, if you want to anything whatsoever. Just make sure, it won't get damaged in the mail, because you're going to have to mail it to me, and, just think it's for a senior. So, and they will appreciate anything, really. They love it. So every year I arrange a holiday party, and me and other volunteers, we bring snacks and refreshments, and we serve the seniors there at the Veterans Nursing Home in Montrose, New York, and we hand out gifts and we sing songs. I have a friend who plays the guitar, and he's Jewish, but he's promised to learn some Christmas songs, so next year he can sing Christmas songs for the people that celebrate Christmas, and some Hanukkah songs for the Jewish people, and any other kind of song. So we really have a great time. Usually I draw the prize winners at the end of the year and mail those out, but the real prize is the happiness you bring to these people who really deserve it. So that is the senior love along. Now's the time to start thinking of the holiday knitting. So If you want more information, check out the thread in the Hudson Valley Knits Ravelry group. Another knit along I'm doing this year, which I am failing miserably in, is every year I am with a lot of flexibility. I am a planner. I like to plan things. I like to have goals, and I'm also very flexible about them changing over time. So, you know, I'm not going to beat myself up, but I set knitting goals every year with things I'd like to do, knit or spin by the end of the year. And last year I did pretty good. This year I'm not doing so good because things have come up. I might adjust my goals, but for the sake of the knit along I'm doing, for which there's also prizes, it's called the 2016 Goals Contest. I'm calling it a contest. It's not really a contest, but you set your goals, and when you accomplish a goal, and a goal isn't necessarily equate to a project. A goal is like learning a new skill. I want to knit a sweater. I want to knit 12 pairs of socks. You know, they should be slightly challenging. I want to knit 2 hand-spun projects. And you can use, like, if your hand-spun project is a sweater, and a sweater is another goal, you could use the same project for both goals. So, if you sign up now, though, you can only use projects that you've begun from this point on. You can't use projects that you've started earlier in the year. That's the only rule. A lot of people have already signed up, so that's a fun one. I like to set up like a project in Ravelry that has my goals for that year, just so I can keep them fresh, and then as I complete them, I link them in that project to the project that completed the goal. So I'm going to relook at that because I have kind of been some impulsive knitting. One thing I know I haven't done is I haven't done any hand spun knitting this year. So I have a lot of hand spun yarn that I haven't knit with yet. And I really wanted to knit at least 2 things with hand spun. One of the things that got in my way was I knit my I did my free pattern. One of my goals was to put out a free pattern, which is the Awakening Cowl, which we're in the middle of a knit along on, and I'll go over that next. But I did that, and my nieces, one is a photographer, the other one modeled it for me. She did the modeling for the project. In return, they wouldn't let me give them money. In return, they asked me to knit their daughter. Each of them has a daughter, and they asked me to knit their daughter's a sweater. So, which I have with me, and I will show you. I have begun one of them already, so that has kind of set me back a little. The other thing that has set me back from, or kind of realigned my goals, is I have agreed to test knit a pie shawl for Donna Dracunis. It's called the Love is Love shawl. And the reason I'm doing it is, one, because she's been a fantastically supportive coach when it's come to me publishing patterns. She's given me a lot of good advice and a lot of help putting my very few designs out there, but I felt that I wanted to give something back, and also because all the proceeds for this shawl that I am test knitting will go to the Orlando LGBT community and the families of the people that lost loved ones in the Orlando shooting. So it's a good cause, and she's a great person, so I'm trying to help her out. So I can't show you it, and I've spent a lot of my knitting time on it, and of course it's taken away from me going towards my goals. The other thing that kind of got in the way of my goals was this gorgeous La Jeffa pattern that Laura Nelkin put out. It's a beautiful lace sweater, and it's actually on hold right now, but it was something I couldn't resist, and I had the stash, and I ordered the beads, and that I will pick up again. So anyway, that is kind of what the goal contest is all about. I might or might not do it next year. I find that people are getting rather confused to the rules, so I'm wondering if it's just too much of a complicated thing to do and offer prizes for, because a lot of people, I have to talk to a lot of people and re-explain things because they're posting their finished objects incorrectly and what have you. So I don't know if I'll do it again next year, but for sure we are on for this year, and I'll probably draw the prizes. I have tons of great prizes for that as well, and those will be drawn in January of next year. So that being said, the last thing I wanted to talk about is a knit along I have going. There's a few people participating, and I appreciate that very much. I published the Awakening Cowl, I think it was the end of June, and it is a beautiful Fair Isle cowl, and the knit along includes some virtual knit nights. The dates are posted in the Ravelry thread. I think the next one is July 30th or 31st. I forget the exact date. It's the end of July. And here is how much I've done on my Awakening cowl. I'm knitting my third one. And this is in the, I knitted one in each colorway that the pattern was designed for. And this one is the third one. And I think it's my favorite, color-wise. Can you see the colors vividly? Because I love the colors of this one. This one is, like I said, variation 3. It's knit with Jamison, and this one has the colors, well, the main color is white, and then I have Granny Smith and Tundra, Lagoon and Granite, which is like a gray, and Camel and Maroon. So let me show you those colors again. I am a little less than halfway done with mine, which is a pretty much perfect timing. So again, I don't know. Yeah, you got some sun on it there. How well you can see the colors, but I just love it. I just started the second repeat of the main pattern, and I love designing this. I am so glad it's out there for free. I hope it encourages people to try stranded knitting. You don't need to use Shetland wool, Jamison wool. You can use pallet. The only thing I recommend is that you don't use a superwash, and that it's 100% wool at the very least. Merino is probably not the best, but you could probably get away with it if you crochet your steeks. But with the Shetland wool, what it does is it makes your steek very secure. You probably don't even need to crochet your steeks for that, because the wool is so sticky, it will stick to itself. And I feel that while Shetland is not the softest wool, it is soft enough for the cowl, especially after you wash it and it relaxes a little. I have a Shetland Fair Isle sweater, Alice Starmore sweater that I knit. I don't wear it much anymore because it's way too small for me. I've gotten a lot bigger since I knit it, which is a shame because it's gorgeous. But it's made out of Shetland wool, and I don't find it uncomfortable next to the skin. But that's just me. If you want something softer, go for it. Just make sure you reinforce your steeks, okay? Next thing I have on the needles, since I've kind of segued into whips by showing you my Awakening cowl, is a pair of socks. Here's the second sock. I'm still on the red cuff. The yarn is from Lollipop Yarn. It's called Independence Day, and it's grays, well, let me show you the finished sock. I'll show the colors better. But here is the ball. I got it through Jan Smiley's Etsy shop, and it came with this bag, which, you know, very well matches the yarn. It has red, white, and blue in it, but I don't think I'll finish it in time to do Silly Fru's July knit along with the red, white, and blue colors. I'll have to check the thread to make sure. Does it have to be finished in July? Because I'll never finish this in 2 days. But anyway, here is the finished sock. Isn't it great? So the little multicolored bands have the red, white, and blue. And then there's gray and red and blue. And you might notice that this looks a lot different, or a little different than when I showed you this while I was upstate at my mom's in the last episode. I actually ripped that whole sock out and redid it with the cuff being solid red. I originally knit this with the cuff in the striped colorway, and it came with 2 extra balls for the cuff and heel and the toe, so I had to redo it. I also tried to plan it so that I did the heel, which is a Fish Lips Kiss heel, when I got to the blue stripe, so it all kind of matched together. And these will be a Christmas present for my brother-in-law. And this is towards one of my goals, because my goal is to knit 6 pairs of socks. Although I have to do at least one more pattern sock, like something like with lace patterns or cables or something other than vanilla or almost vanilla sock pattern. So that is my finished object. Well, half finished object. The other thing I have on the needle, so I mentioned that my nieces helped me out with the Awakening Cowl by doing the photography and modeling for me. And I have started one of the sweaters for them. This will be for my niece Catherine's daughter Eleanor, who Catherine is the model. And here's what I have so far. It's from the top down, it's the tiny tea leaf cardigan. And I am at the yoke. There's not much to see other than you can see the rippled pattern. I had a hard time getting gauge with this. I had to try many different needles, and she switches from a smaller to a larger needle size throughout the yoke. When she switches to garter stitch, she goes up a needle size, and when she's doing when the pattern is doing stockinette, you go to a smaller needle, or vice versa. A bigger needle for the stockinette and a smaller needle for the garter stitch, which I imagine is so that you don't have to change your stitch count to do the gauge. It's made with Morocco Vintage. I picked it because it's machine washable. It has a little wool in it for color, for warmth, but it's nice and soft. It's mostly acrylic and nylon, so it will wash and it will be soft and beautiful. It's a gorgeous color. What is the color? Well, they give color numbers, so I'll just show you. It's kind of like a beautiful sea green, which will look beautiful on Ella. The other pattern, which I haven't started yet, which I will knit for my niece Patricia's daughter Candace, is the Antler Cardigan by Tin Can Knits. So that one I'll start as soon as I finish the tiny tea leaves, which I don't think I have a picture of. Oh yes, I do. Here's the tiny tea leaves cardigan. And that is that. Next, I did do a little knitting on my Lazy Days of Summer shawl by Iris, I can't remember her last name, Schreier of Art Yarns. This is a free pattern if you use the her yarn. And actually you can't purchase it, so you have to use her yarn. And it's gorgeous, so let me show it to you. And I have the progress keeper in there. So, oh, I'm in the middle of a row. Dang, that doesn't help. So here is the progress keeper. So I did make some time to knit on this, and you can see the beautiful edging. I love her yarns. I absolutely love Art Yarn. Her merino is the softest merino. Her silk is gorgeous. It even smells beautiful. And I know that sounds weird, but you all can understand what I'm talking about. It smells beautiful. So the pattern is designed to knit until you run out of yarn, and here is about how much yarn I have left. This much for the border and this much for the actual shawl. I feel it's still pretty small, and I hope it just turns out to be something of a usable size. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a row. I will have to fix that by knitting on it as soon as we're done with the podcast. So those are the whips I have with me. The one I don't have with me is my design along sweater, which I still haven't named. And oh, I apologize because I never started a thread that I said I was going to do, asking for suggestions on names, and also another thread asking what color, what shawl to use my 3 skeins of Suna by Spirit Trail Fiberwork. So maybe I'll do that this week. Get that up there. But where was I going? I forget where I was going with this. The one project I don't have is my design along sweater. I have finished all the pieces. They are literally lying on the blocking board drying right now with a fan on them. The front and the back are dry. I'm ready for the shoulders to be seamed together, and the sleeves are drying still. So tonight when I get home, I will seam the shoulders together and pick up the stitches for the neck, which I think I've decided will just be a basic ribbed turtleneck. Yeah, I really don't know what I want to do. The original design I had in mind had like a 8-inch cowl-like droopy collar, if you will. I don't know how it's gonna look. You know what, maybe I should try it. I was gonna do ferrite border at the top, but I'm not going to do that. I think I will just do a I-cord cast off and leave it at that. But it's gonna be so cool, and this will be my Rhinebeck sweater. I hope to get at least one more Rhinebeck sweater done. I don't know, it's too bright. I'm gonna leave them on. So that is not with me because it's just too big and too hot to lug that here. But I will put some pictures in, don't worry, at the end. And hopefully during the next podcast, I will be able to show it to you and it will be done. I'm so excited. I'd like to knit at least one more Rhinebeck sweater. And I have a couple of choices, and one is to finish one that I had started that is also my design, but less well thought out before I learned what I've learned. But it's basically just a tube with a lot of beautiful cable patterns on it, and I'm up to where the armholes would start. And I think I'll just do a drop shoulder or a semi set-in sleeve. And that one would be great because I'm like about halfway done with it. And that would be a really nice Rhinebeck sweater as well. So we'll see. I don't know for sure. I also want to finish the Jeffa sweater by Lauren Elkin. And I also have some Brigantia yarn, which is a DK weight yarn from Spirit Trail Fiberworks that I bought last year at Rhinebeck that I'd like to make into a sweater for, but I know I just got too much going on. The Lajefa probably won't make it this year because of the beads. It's actually my first beaded project and it makes it go really slow. So I think maybe I think what I'll do is finish the sweater I started, because I just like to clean up all my whips. And I'm thinking already that that might be my theme for next year, is to clean up all the whips. I have a lot of things started that just need to get finished, and some of them are pretty big projects, so yeah. And I gotta stop buying yarn because it's getting friggin' ridiculous. Oh, and speaking of buying yarn, I have some new stash enhancement. Would you like to see my new yarn? Here is the first one. Nomadic Yarns in the Hermione colorway. It's her twisty sock, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, and it has this beautiful aqua blue, a dusty rose pink, and a nice beautiful brown, kind of like her brown hair, and a gray. And it's a striped, and I love it. I don't know when I'm gonna knit it up because I have other yarns that I want to knit up first, and I'm thinking my next pair of socks will be for my husband. But that is one. The other one is my Highland Handmaids Club yarn. It's worsted weight mountain ash worsted, which is 80% superwash targy, 20% silk. To say it is squishy is an understatement. It is beautifully squishy, which is not the norm for something with silk in it, but you see the sheen and the softness of the silk. It's just amazing. The colorway she is calling Shoebill, and it's beautiful grays and blues. I love it. I don't know what I'd like to knit with it, but I love it. I need some ideas on things to knit with one skein of worsted, because I have all these single skeins of worsted from her and I don't know what to do with them. That's ridiculous. So that is all of my whips. No finished objects this week. So what have I been up to? Do you want to hear what I've been up to? So much has happened since I podcast last, which was the 4th of July weekend from my mom's house. My daughter has left. She left Friday, 2 days ago, to go back to school in Orlando, Florida. And I'm gonna start to cry because I miss her so much already. And I know it's just silly, she's just going to school, but I am not, like, when I say she is delightful, sweet, wonderful person, I'm not saying that because I'm her mother. It's because she is, and she's just so wonderful to have around, and I miss her awful. I miss her bad. And the only consolation is that my sister and I are going there in September, my sister Kim and I. My husband can't go, he couldn't get the time off from work, but we're going, we're leaving on September 16th, and her birthday is on the 21st, so we're gonna be there for her birthday. And we're gonna go do Disney and Harry Potter World and Universal, and this will be my first time. Plus I'll get to see my baby girl. Even though she'll be going to school all week and probably have to work and whatnot, I'll still be able to spend evenings with her, and it'll be well worth it. And then she graduates in February of next year, which I'm so looking forward to. So that it was just really, really nice having her home. She got to spend my birthday with me. My birthday was on July 15th, which was a Friday, and we didn't do anything big for my birthday. Unfortunately, that weekend coincided with a memorial service for my aunt that passed away in May. My aunt lived in Georgia, and my cousins and my uncle came up. They had planned on coming up all along this week. They come up every year from Georgia with their campers and whatnot. And this year we did a memorial and spread her ashes on the Hudson River, which is what she wanted. And so we didn't really celebrate the birthday. I was actually supposed to be up in my parents' house this weekend to have a birthday dinner, but that got canceled as well because my other sister, whose birthday is actually today, and we were going to do it together, but our other sister, her husband's uncle died, so they had to do funeral for that, and they couldn't go upstate, so my mom wanted everyone there. So now we're going to do the birthday dinner in August, which is the same weekend as my son's birthday. His birthday's August 5th, and he's going to be 30, and I just turned 50, and I just can't believe it. But so now it's going to be a birthday party for 3 people up at my mom's the first weekend in August. So that'll be nice. My son went up to visit them this weekend anyway. Sorry, just 1 second. So my son went upstate to my parents' house anyway this weekend, even though she canceled the dinner, but I decided to stay home and just get stuff done around the house and whatnot. So what else did we do? We had our feast/block party in my town, where they shut down a whole street, and we have a bazaar or a carnival, you might call it, come into town, and that's always lots of fun. And they have a big fireworks display on Sunday, so we had that, and Rachel was here for that. And just all in all, it was a very busy 3 weeks since I last podcast. I think I mentioned in the beginning of this show that I did record a podcast this past Monday and just didn't have time to upload it. And it was a beautiful day. It was actually the day we had the memorial service for my aunt, so I was off from work. And my daughter and I went down to the river with, got a cup of coffee, went down to the river, and we had lunch down there, and my parents showed up. They were down, of course, for the service. And my pa went swimming in the river, and my mom and my daughter and me were hanging out by the water, and I recorded a podcast, and my mother was in the podcast. It was just nice. So I'm going to dissect that and give you some tidbits from that, because you get to meet my mom and my daughter and stuff. And even my husband showed up, because Monday is his regular day off, so he came down too. And he's not like me as far as being an outdoorsy type, so it was really cool to have him down there with us. And that's about it. I just want to thank you all for being patient with me and my erratic schedule. It's just the way it has to be for me, because I just have a busy schedule. So I podcast when I can, and as often as I possibly can. So I hope you all understand, and I thank you for continuing to watch this podcast. It's nice to know that people are enjoying it, and I will see you hopefully in a couple of weeks. Have a great, cool summer. Bye-bye. My mom's collecting rocks here for her garden upstate, and she just dumped them all over the ground.
At least they're not tomatoes.
At least they're not tomatoes. Mom, since you come here and introduce yourself, Mom. Say hi to all the knitter ladies.
Hi, ladies. Hi. This is my baby.
This is my mom.
My favorite thirdborn. Enjoy her podcast. Just don't pay any attention to the noise that goes on behind her.
Spend time with my family, and I felt bad asking my mom to be quiet. She's still being quiet. Here's Pa swimming. Pa, say hi. Say hi to the camera. I'm recording.
Hi, camera. How you doing? Here, hold on.
Oh my God, an arrow!